it's Dr. Deb, and welcome to my program. Tonight we're talking about make your dream of intimacy a reality. And I know so many people are going to say that is crazy, that is not possible. There's no way we can't even talk to each other, let alone intimacy. Are you funny, Dr. Deb? Okay, here's the story. That's what I do. That's exactly the work that I do. It's taking miserable couples and making them into happy couples. I don't actually make them into anything. That's not even accurate. I help them, I guide them. So, what's my secret? I'm going to get into all that right now. I first want to begin with a special announcement, which is very, very exciting. I am taking all of these podcasts here on YouTube and turning them into podcasts on all the podcasting platforms. I'm just in the process and they're already on Spotify. How can you find me? Best way is to go to my website, DrDeb.com, DrDeb. That's it. No more dots except for the .com // podcast. And there you're going to see a player where you can listen to my trailer. I've only submitted that yet. And I would love it if you would subscribe. So how do you subscribe? You click the word follow. That's a subscription. And right now, all that's up there is Spotify. Just click that if you want to listen on Spotify. I'll keep you posted as far as all the other possible platforms. Okay, going forward, let's answer first a very straightforward question. Why isn't there intimacy in the first place? Why are these people fighting all the time? Why can't they just get along? What is going on? And this is thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of couples have that very problem. So what is going on? What is the problem? It comes down to one word. And by the way, you guys, I love to see you in the chat. Just chat away. It comes down to one word. The word is fear of being vulnerable. Fear of being vulnerable. When a person opens up their heart, they can get smacked down. So there's a natural fear, especially if couples have been fighting. I'm just going to let that plane pass so that we don't have too much noise in the way. When couples either are closed off and shut down or fighting, any of the things in between, they're obviously not feeling safe. But more than that, they don't actually know each other. If they really knew each other, they wouldn't need to fight. Because when you've opened yourself up and you let who you are show, you're being vulnerable. And vulnerable people aren't fighting. Vulnerable people are being who they are. And it's very nice. It's very nice to have such a conversation. The problem is that that very same vulnerable person is afraid of either getting hurt, being ignored, or maybe worse is the partner misses the boat. I say something extremely profound. I feel it's extremely profound for me. And my partner reacts like I said, it's raining outside, like there's nothing there. So I've just shared something maybe that was hard for me to share, something deep and personal, and my partner is not at all acknowledging what a big deal that was. I don't know if you can hear the planes, but oh my goodness. I guess this is the time of year when it starts. Wow. Not only that, if my partner misconstrues what it is I'm saying and hears it differently than I mean it due to their own history, then they're going to react, and they're not going to react well. For an example, let's say I gave a compliment to my partner and I said, "I am so glad you found a job. I'm so proud of you." And my partner thinks the English translation of that compliment is, "You jerk, you loser, it took you long enough to find a job." And that I was then sarcastic when I said I was proud. You wouldn't believe the kinds of things that people misconstrue that the other one says. But this kind of thing happens all the time. So if they misconstrue it and they think that I'm being sarcastic and putting them down, what are they going to do as a reaction? Basically, shoot me in the head with words. They're going to tell me something. They're going to call me a name. They're going to put me down in response. They're going to walk out and slam the door. It could be any number of things like that. Here's another example of a misconstrual that even goes further. Somebody decides they're jealous of their partner when nothing, absolutely nothing has happened. There isn't even anything to work with to assume a reason for the jealousy. They just make it up in their head. Why would someone do that? Well, if they don't feel good about themselves, and the truth is they feel like, gee whiz, I'm kind of worthless. So yeah, my partner probably is flirting, and I should be jealous of it. So what's going to happen then? That person who totally believes that my partner is fooling around isn't going to be vulnerable. And the partner certainly isn't when somebody comes up with crazy things out of the clear blue sky to level against them. It happens every day because they don't feel good about who they are. So here are all these possible reasons why there's no intimacy. Now, when you look at it that way, you begin to understand something. Those people can't just make changes. They can't go, for example, to a marriage counselor and sit down, and the marriage counselor says, just treat each other nicely. Say one nice thing to each other. Go out on date night. Oh my God, date night. They're going to kill each other on date night. The one thing they can't do is talk to each other civilly. How are they going to go on date night? Okay, I get it. If you have two people that are grounded well in who they are, there's another plane. I don't know if you hear it. I hear it. If you have two people who are well grounded in who they are, they feel like themselves, top to bottom. They're not the type of people who would be knocked around by somebody saying something strange to them because it just doesn't happen to them. But maybe they drifted apart because they're so busy with work and kids and whatever. Yeah, date night is great. Great idea. Reconnect. But that's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to people who did a lot more than drift away. They walked away. They ran away. They weren't able to be intimate, and they weren't able to be themselves in the first place. How do you get them back? How do you get that intimacy? And let's just look at it further. If they are afraid to be themselves, part of that is because they really don't want to look deeply inside at who they are because they're afraid of it. If that's true, how can they possibly understand who their partner is? And just to make things even more complicated, the partner probably is suffering from some of the same ways of thinking, the same fears, the same lack of self-love. Why do I say that? Because that's how people are. They marry someone who shares so much in common with them that is one of the things that they share. It's a natural thing. It's a natural understanding. So if that's true, then what do you expect from them? How are they ever going to bridge that? This is why behavioral therapy doesn't work for people who basically don't know who they are and are afraid to find out, let alone not really getting who their partner is and making up all kinds of things in their head about who their partner is and what their partner intended from the accusation that they were making fun of them or that they were cheating or any other accusations that are off the wall. So that the behavioral type of stuff isn't going to work. Here's an example. So a woman was always put down and yelled at by her mother, and this woman learned she could be angry at her mother in private, but she better not show it. She became a people pleaser, please her mother, please everyone else. And what she got back is, well, then she gets love at least from somewhere, right? If not her mother, and sometimes her mother. Then she gets married. And what does the husband do that she married? He yells. And so what does she do? The worst possible thing to do when somebody's abusing you is to give in and do what they want because they yelled at you. So, but she does that. She falls right into the trap because she has a trigger. Yelling means you better cave in. And then she's angry at herself later for caving in. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. So, what is the solution? The solution is one that is the method of a couples counseling system based on IFS. IFS is internal family systems, and the system for couples is intimacy from the inside out, created by Tony Herbine Blank. And in this system, the most important thing that each person has to do is get connected to who they are first. Because when you connect to yourself, when you get to really feel your self energy, you're no longer thinking bad thoughts about somebody else's intentions or deeds behind your back because you feel worthwhile instead of worthless and unworthy. When you feel good about who you are as a worthwhile person, you don't start imagining that the other person won't want you. They will want you, and you feel it. So that process of changing a person's sense of self together in a session is enormously helpful. Now, what I do, I take it a step further. I like to separate couples who will accuse each other or say hurtful things to each other for the simple reason that I don't want them to hurt each other. And until such time as alone we can start accessing their true sense of who they are underneath all their defenses, I don't want to put them together and take a chance that they're going to hurt each other's feelings or get hurt. So I separate them when it's that bad, when they can't talk to each other without something hurtful going on. Now you might say to me, well, how do you get at that sense of self? On my website that I've already sent you to for the podcast, on the home page, DrDeb.com, is a free meditation, which is a little long and it needs to be. It's about a little under 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, on accessing yourself. It's a little hard in terms of the mental gymnastics of clearing away all the negative thoughts in your head. It takes practice to clear them away and get that sense of separation from them so that you realize, there's someone else here besides my anger, my self-criticism, my hostility to the world, my depression, my anxiety, and everything else. There's someone else here. And that someone else is smart and capable and gets it. It is work. It does take a little effort, and it's well worth it. And what I do in session is I practice that with people so that when they go home, they can keep doing it. It's like running after the kid who's learning to bike ride with 2 wheels and no trainers, and you suddenly let go and they go shooting off into the distance very happily. Of course, when I learned to bike ride, I fell the first time right into a garbage can, but that's okay. I did learn to ride. So what? And that's my point. I learned to ride, and you will too. That is how we access our true self underneath the fears of being vulnerable, so that we come to our personal partner, our special person in our life, with honesty, that we can truly express ourselves without a feeling of fear. And for whatever reason, no one got on tonight. So a very unusual. I think maybe I'm missing the debate and I didn't check the time. Whatever. I'm going to go and see, and we'll end just a little earlier than usual. Good night, everyone.